All right. Good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. I'm Tim Judge, founder of GreenwichLocal.com, and we're here with the Good News Game Plan with Coach Kelly. Hey, Joe, how we doing?
Well, hello, Tim Judge. How are you this fine day?
I am well, very well.
That is good to hear. Good to hear. Since this is the Good News program, could you tell us some good news coming from your end today?
Well, I told you last week I was going to mix it up a little bit, so I'm going to share something with you right now. This right here is the GreenwichLocal.com webpage. And I just wanted to show you that we have a new sponsor, our buddy who is, I think you know him, but it is Michael Marullo.
Oh,
and
sure.
He has the Gem Limousine car service. So if you look up car service, you got Gem Limo. You can see the directory right there and links to his website. You can click to phone him right up, or book a car right there online. And if you're one of his many clients, you can go right into your account right there and book a car.
Well, that's
so Gem Limo on GreenwichLocal.com.
Well, that's good news, Tim. That's good. He's a good fella, and happy to have him somehow promote his wares on our program. I am very, very excited about our program this evening because we have two of the nicest guys in our town. We have Ralph Mayo and Rob Burton, and we also have a surprise guest, but he'll pop in a little later on. But with Ralph and Rob, two of the nicest guys in town, I'm so happy that they both agreed to come on the show, and it's amazing that we have them both on at the same time. So we'll bring Ralph Mayo on first, who is presently the headmaster of Greenwich High School.
Greenwich High.
But I think they've changed that name from headmaster to something else. But let's talk to him about that. There's Ralph. Hello, Ralph.
Hey, guys. How are we tonight?
I think we're doing great.
Very good.
You guys are all pumped up.
You bet.
Yes.
Now,
always.
We changed our name a little bit, or our title, didn't we, Ralph? Didn't we call it something other than headmaster recently?
A few months ago, Dana, my assistant headmaster, we decided that, you know what, this headmaster word's not making some people feel good, so we wanted to make everybody happy and make everybody comfortable. So we decided we just go back to principal and vice principal. So that's what we did. And luckily, the superintendent and Joe, you know as well, the board agreed with that decision. So here we are.
Well, we all want people to feel good about themselves. If there's any question at all, we certainly want to, especially in a title that is not very important what it's called. And if that offends somebody, we certainly have to change that. But I sort of like the whole mystique, Harry Potter-ish with headmaster type thing. I thought it was kind of cool. But if it offends somebody, we have to certainly change that.
Well, yeah, and the other part of it is we used to have house masters, but they're now house administrators. So it didn't really actually make any sense anymore either.
Well, so it's progress, and let's continue to move forward, and that's great. So I'm happy about that. But you've held many titles when it comes to the Greenwich school system, Ralph, haven't you? Well, I think just about every one.
I've worked for the Board of Education for 44 years now, and for the town since 1973 at Camp Carefree Day Camp. So I've been around for a while. Yeah.
So you started as a teacher in the schools, right?
Actually, I started as a instructional aide, Joe.
Instructional aide.
Working in a resource room with special education students.
And then you moved into teaching.
Then I moved into teaching. Then I was an assistant to a housemaster. Then I went to housemaster. Then I went to director of student activities, then program administrator for special education, and then housemaster. Oh. And then from housemaster, I moved over to Eastern to become principal. Mm-hmm. Actually, before I moved to Eastern, I was the interim headmaster at Greenwich High School in 1999. And then I moved to Eastern. Then, as you know, I became interim superintendent for a year, and now I'm back at my home base, the place I love the most, Greenwich High School.
Well, you've done, which is great, and we all love having you there. And there's not a person who's I've spoken to that has said anything bad about what you do. It's all good, all positive. Everybody likes all the interactions they have with you. So we're lucky, certainly, to have you. But the having gone through the whole system, now you also grew up in town. Is that true?
Yeah, I grew up in the Barn Chickahominy section of town. Very interesting people that I still hang around with to this day, and we have fun, and we're still cooking.
So I find it unique because my career has brought me all over the world. I worked in Japan for a couple of years. I worked in London for 8 years, and where I grew up in Queens, New York, kind of the neighborhood itself is not a place you could really move back to. So the people, when you do well, where I grew up, if your father, when I was a kid, if your father got a raise or a promotion at work, 2 weeks later there'd be a moving truck in front of your house, and you'd move to Westchester or Long Island or something like that. So I never had a single place. I've always moved around. So the longest place I really can remember is Greenwich. It's 23 years here. I'm here, and what a great town it is, and what a good bunch of people. And it's people like yourself who are the original people who grew up here and stay here. And it's obvious why you stay here, because I chose any place I wanted to move to, and this was the place I moved to.
Well, yeah, you picked a great community with great schools, great parks, beaches, everything, neighborhoods, people. Everybody wants to volunteer in this town. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And you do a lot of that too, as far as tell me, you have a famous past coaching career as well, where not only did you teach, but you've been a coach for many years as well. Bring me through some of your coaching, because that's something I can really relate to.
Well, I coached, I was the head lacrosse coach for a few years there. And I also coached with Mike Renata, the great Mike Renata, the football coach, for a few years, not that long. I coached at Central Junior High School, where we had a football team, and did a couple other sports at the high school. I did coach wrestling for a bit, and girls basketball. Nice.
Well, I was so lucky just being an amateur Saturday morning soccer, travel, basketball, just sort of a coach of my kids and their friends. And when Steve Lapham, your long-term coach and employee at the high school, when he gave me the opportunity about 11, 12 years ago to come be a real coach, I was a little nervous about it. It was something I really wanted to do to really do something, because I really enjoyed just a little bit of coaching I did. Well, a little bit, years and years of coaching, but not real coaching when you have to run a program and you have kids there 5 days a week, and you have games when you could set them up, and you have all this stuff you're moving on through. And the kids, the time you spent in those kids' lives are a very important time, because you have access like nobody else. Parents have certain access to the kids where they shut you down. Teachers have access to some degree. Administrators, principals, leaders have some access. Sometimes I guess a principal can be intimidating, but also you have some degree of access. But there's some connection that happens between coaches and their athletes, and it's something I never wanted to squander, because you have that access and that opportunity to teach the kids something more than just X's and O's. And when you have that openness of that child to be able to do that with them, that was great to do that in a professional full-time capacity, where Steve Lapham invited me in to take his spot, and spending 9 years doing that. That was so much fun. And I'm so envious of people like yourself who get to be influencing on our kids in such a positive way.
Well, coaching for me, you go through a range of emotions with kids from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, and different games and different outcomes. But the best part about it is the process. The process of going through that season with the kids. And, you never forget your kids, ever. You never forget, you never forget the kids that you taught either, but you never forget the kids on your teams.
Well, your point about the emotions is so true, because you lose the games, you lose. You lose them, they lose them. You both lose. You win the games, you win. You have the same victory, maybe vicariously through them in a way where they're the ones actually out there doing it. But when you're involved as the coach, you have some outcome, some reason that you're part of that outcome. And it's just having gotten a little older and less athletic, because I loved sports when I was younger, being able to compete again at a really level where you just wanted to go and win it all it was just a great experience to be able to do that again. I'm certainly not finished coaching. I'm taking a little break now while instead of just coaching 200 kids at the high school, I get to influence hopefully in a positive way the 9,000 kids in our district. So that's certainly it's rewarding, because we went through some challenging times, haven't we, Ralph?
We have been.
And I must say, the job that everyone's doing, that you're doing, that Tony Jones did a great job as superintendent, taking us in a direction which we weren't sure we were going in the right way, having the support of all the leaders at the schools like yourself, and hearing only positive feedback. Because in time of crisis, the most important thing is that everyone pulls together. There's time for questioning decisions when we're not in time of crisis, but when we're going through hard times and uncharted waters, it's really important everyone pulls together, much like a team. When you're a team and you're playing in a game, and you don't have to be the best or have the best players on your team. You just have to have everyone playing together and playing well, and that's how you end up with a championship team. I think we have a championship team in the school system right now.
I can't disagree with you, Joe. But it's unfortunate that the only thing that's unfortunate about the situation is that why does it take a crisis for all of us to pull together like this? Why can't we do this on a daily basis when there's no crisis? That's what's unfortunate. But I have to tell you, the students at Greenwich High School, all the rules that we laid out for them, all the routes from class to class, masks, social distancing, all that stuff, we don't have to remind them. They just do it. It's just been great. So I got to give a lot of credit to the students of the school. We laid out the course for them, but they're following it.
We've had Mary O'Connor on the program as well, talking about she teaches. She's the most popular fourth grade teacher, self-proclaimed, of course, popular fourth grade teacher in. And I know my kid went to was in her class, and she loved Mary as a teacher, and Mary's a great friend too. And her saying how surprised she was on just the points you made, how the kids all pulled together and they thought walking in fourth graders to keep a mask on, that can never happen. Yet they're more attentive to it than I am, and they make sure they have them on. They kind of look at you funny if you don't have them on, and the kids have been great. The teachers have all stepped up. I'm so glad that the governor has made a decision to make sure that that teachers, administrators, and people involved in the school are next online for the vaccinations, because that's really important as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, I think that'll make everybody just a little bit more comfortable, because I think a lot of people a lot of the adults in the building are uncomfortable. They're coming in, they're doing their job, they're doing great work. Their teaching is still, outstanding, but they're uncomfortable. And I think getting the vaccine will smooth it out a little bit for them. I already received my first shot because I'm old. That's why I got my shot. But I think that'll help a great deal for the staff.
Fantastic. Well, there was rumor, one more little change in the subject for a second, because we do have Rob Burton waiting to come on. Though the question I have of you is, since we're focusing a bit on the on Cardinal Stadium right now, considering that process is moving along nicely, somebody said that you actually saw the helicopter carry the bleachers from the old high school to the new high school. Is that true?
That is not true, Joe. No, I was in college. That was going on. But when we first moved to I still call it the new high school. When we first moved from the old high school, because I went to the old high school for the town hall for 2 years. When we moved over there, that area of the field was a baseball field. It wasn't a football field. So they had put the football field down by field 5, where the softball field is, and they actually did bring a helicopter in, lift those stands up, and put them right down where they are right now. Well, they're not there anymore, are they?
They are gone, and new stands are ready to come up. Now, the final thing we go with, Ralph, we talked about, is there something that's important to you that you want to pitch? I know that you have tons of things, the kids you work with, the watching you with those kids, and projects you might be working on. Is there something in particular that you want to talk about before we have Rob come in and ask you a question or two?
Well, I always want to talk about Greenwich High School and all the wonderful things that are going on there. But I'm on 2 boards. I'm on the Community Centers Inc. board of directors, and there's Giving Thursdays coming up, and I would hope that people would give to CCI, because it's a great agency that works with kids, and also with the Greenwich Alliance. Those 2 groups, and I'm on that board as well. They do amazing work for our kids in the schools, and I just hope that people will donate on Thursday.
Well, thanks for that, Ralph. And Tim wants to come on. Tim's going to now, I think he's going to put it at the bottom of the page.
I've been sorting through all the viewers that we have and all the comments coming in. We have somebody said two of the greats on screen right here. And then I do have a question here. Mr. Mayo has been one of the biggest supporters of the arts. I love everything that he's done. And what is your favorite painting?
Oh God, favorite painting.
That's our number one question I could pull out from the crowd here.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Every time I go to the Met, I have to spend at least 10 to 20 minutes sitting in front of Washington crossing the Delaware.
Perfect.
Very nice.
It's just awesome. It's just so big and so amazing. So I sit there.
Perfect.
Sometimes it angers people that I go with because they want me to keep
Out of the
moving.
way, sir.
And I'm staying right there for my 5 to 10 minutes to watch George Washington and troops cross the Delaware. So.
Well, Tim,
soak it all in. Beautiful.
Can we bring Rob in for a question too? We don't want him getting lonely out there in the green room. There he is, Rob Burton. Hello, Rob Burton. What a nice.
Hey, Mr. Kelly, and hello, Mr. Mayo. I think the last time I saw you was probably in detention in 1993 or 4. So it's been a long time.
Robert, you never got detention. Come on, stop it.
Probably my brothers, but yes, you're probably right on that one. But it's I was telling Coach that my fondest memories. I think you had a diploma studying every member of my family at Greenwich High School. So you're encapsulated a bunch of pictures in my mom and dad's home to this day.
With the handshake.
Yeah, or stiff arm, whatever you taught back then. But yes, it was those were fun days.
They were absolutely. One of my favorite days of the year is graduation.
Well, you're glowing, you're beaming. I did the Windrose graduation last year. We did an interim mid-session graduation, and the drive-up one was a little bit different, but the rest of them, you were glowing and beaming. It was just, you were so proud of what you had accomplished in what you're doing. It was just a pleasure and honor to be with you. So that was great. I'm so glad I'm so glad we have you in our town. So glad you do what you do. So thank you very much, Ralph. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. And I hope that we get to do it outside this year and not a drive-by, but more of a regular ceremony. But we're working on it, so we'll see what happens.
Great. Well, thanks, Ralph. I appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll see you soon for sure.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Ralph.
Okay, Rob.
Thanks, Mr. Mayo.
That's right. It's Mr. Mayo. He was your head.
I know he was a stickler back in the day, but no, he's a legend, and again, he's a coach. He's a teacher of mine, so I have a lot of respect for Mr. Mayo going back. I don't want to say how long, but many, many decades.
Well, just to be involved for so many years like that and so many lives that you've touched, it's just so important and so good. And that sort of brings us into talking some about you, because you and I have now been getting to know each other now for about a year since I got involved in the Board of Education. And I'm finding out all you want to do is good things for people. And that's certainly makes our town so good. You grew up in town here, right?
Yeah, no, my parents moved from Chicago back in the late 70s, and they picked a place to live, and they picked, originally it was Stanford, but they ended up going with Greenwich because, like Mr. Mayo said, the school system and the resources that this town has. So we settled here, and I'm a 1993 graduate of Greenwich High School. My brothers were too. So this is a great place, and I was very fortunate to live in this area. And my father told me at a very early age, you need to give back. So I'm trying to follow in his footsteps this day.
Well, it's great. I mean, I in the first part of my career, I grew up in Queens. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, and we were poor, but I didn't know we were poor. So because we had a good family, and we had 6 kids, and we kind of enjoyed each other. We didn't have anything, we enjoyed each other, but to actually go out there and then have the opportunity to go and work on Wall Street and end up making some comfortable money and to reach some certain financial goals, and to come back here and to get that feeling of giving back, because I never felt I had to give back early on because I didn't have anything. And it was only halfway through my career that I made a realization that it is time to give back. I have to give my time, and I have to give my my focus on when I can give some financial support to some things. So it's a similar thing, and our community is full of people like yourself who do that, which is great. And so thank you for being involved in doing that. Thank you for rallying many to do that as well, which you do as well.
It's again, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to be in this position. And again, we're trying to help out the kids across the town. It's all about the kids. I'm looking for no personal, satisfaction other than helping out, thousands of kids that use these facilities. So
Well,
that's what we're all about.
You're a father of four, and so that must keep you kind of busy, huh?
A little bit, yeah. My eldest is actually she's going to graduate Greenwich High School here in a couple months. So I'm very hopeful that this, your project gets done so we can watch her outside in the same stadium that I graduated in. So it's a rite of passage. So yes, father of four, ages 17 down to 9. So we're always drama, like 3 girls. So a lot of drama in the Burton house. So it's a lot of fun, but it's sometimes try to hide and let my wife deal with it sometimes.
And when I was talking to a couple of your buddies, they tell me you come from a rough and tumble family of your own. You're a big fella, but you've got brothers who are bigger than you that kind of beat you up a little bit. Is that true?
Yeah, they let me know that. So yeah, no, I've one of 3 boys. I'm the eldest. My brother Mike. We all played at Greenwich High School for Coach Renato. Mike ended up being the captain of the UConn football team. He graduated in 2000 or 2001. My little brother Joe, who's actually the biggest one, he's like 6'5" and at one point like 310 pounds. So he played at Syracuse under the McNabb years. So big football family. My dad played in the NFL. He was back before, this is in the early 60s, so before there was a lot of money involved. So he was the only reason why he went to college, like I told you this, Joe, was that he got a football scholarship. Right. Without that, so that's all about giving back now to these kids, because I think that's what we're all about as a family, just giving everybody the opportunity, because I think sports is a very important part of, even as a manager now these days for my company, it's something we look for, teamwork. It's life lessons that continue on to, you're 65, 70 years old and beyond.
Well, we met for the first time, and I don't think you remember it, but it was certainly memorable for me. It was when my son Joe was the captain of the football team, and I was one of the captain's parents, and we were running the car wash. And as we're at the car wash, coordinating the car wash, a young gentleman, you came over and said, "No one's really contacted me." And traditionally, I give to the program. My car, I don't really need it washed, but may I give you a check? And I said, well, sure. People are giving a couple of dollars here and there. And then I won't embarrass you by mentioning the amount it was, but it was certainly enough to make you very memorable when you handed that large donation to a car wash. And I said, for a car wash? I thought it was very generous of you. And I did say, well, I certainly saw on the check who you are. And I remembered you from then, and then had the fortunate opportunity later on to get to meet you as we're working on these projects together. So your generosity is famous around the town. Your family's generosity. I understand UConn is thankful to your family, and they have some buildings that you guys have put up over there.
Yeah, no, it's again, my brother was a captain up there. At one point, UConn had a pretty good football program. As of late, we would like to talk about it. But yeah, no, again, it's all about giving back. You should have seen their facilities. It looked worse than, Greenwich High Schools at one point. So I think the fact that they made the investment in the program, and it's, there's generations now, kids are going to be able to go through that program and get not just, the things on the football field, but the life lessons and the education you're going to get as well. So that was a big, and reason why my father and my brother sort of got behind that program. So it's really near to our heart.
Well, the main formula in my mind, anyway, to a great program where kids get lessons better than just X and O lessons, life lessons, where kids mature and they become great people based on not just the academics they receive in school, but also the lessons they learn on the field. They're all what makes up us as people, and it's really important to make sure we have that component in place for them. And you and your organization that you're involved in are so helpful in supporting such things like the recently. And please help me if I forget a few things, but you guys recently donated the wrestling mat
yes.
to the wrestling team, and it's a great sport. It's the number one sport. We send all our rugby kids over to train in the off season, getting ready for rugby season, which makes lots of sense. And you guys did the bleachers in the gym. You donated that. You guys worked with the cameras, the videotaping of all the games, which came incredibly useful when it came to no longer could we have in-person watching of games. So parents, I know I did. We watched my daughter play volleyball on the computer. We couldn't do that. We couldn't be there in person. You guys were so generous when it came to that scoreboard and propping up those bleachers when the engineers said those things aren't going to stand up anymore. They're going to fall right down. You guys came up with a plan to prop those things up with steel and all sorts of structural things, and you put it up there. please further talk more about what you guys do, because it's all great stuff that you do. Hockey, I know you're involved in that.
Yeah, no, again, to my point before, we're basically a bunch of just parents that, really, want to see our kids have an opportunity to play. And, again, and I'm not trying to comment on the politics of this town, but sometimes things get lost in the cracks. So are there things that we can do as parents to really shore up these facilities? And you mentioned probably most of them, the wrestling mat. I think the local live thing that you mentioned, which is the streaming, came and really helped, handy during the pandemic. And I think, just going forward, you as a chance if you're traveling or grandma or grandpa want to see your grandkids play, it's a great way to do it. So we're just trying to give back. And quite honestly, there's things that we can do, not just for the taxpayers, but hey, there's a way for us to lessen that load and help improve these facilities, because quite honestly, a couple of these things look exactly the same when I played in 1993. So if we can improve them, not just for my kids, but the whole town, we think that's a huge opportunity.
Well, definitely. We'll talk about a few more things related to that in a second, but our special guest has arrived. Can we have our special guest pop in? It is Bill
Mr. Drake.
Bill Drake is here. He's got good news for us. Bill, tell us some good news.
I like good news. I'm not a special guest, but I'm very happy to join you men. And Rob, what you guys have done at Greenwich Athletic Foundation to support our kids' school, our kids' athletics is a great thing. It's what it's like growing up and experiencing what high school sports can teach our kids, and we all try to make a great experience for them. And I know you and your organization have done great things. But yeah, I have an idea. Joe knows this idea. I'm going to put an idea in front of you, and we'd like your opinion.
Okay.
And this goes in the category of ice hockey at Greenwich High. Ice hockey is a hot sport. We've got at the high school, we've got boys varsity, boys JV, girls varsity, girls JV. There's a lot of interest in hockey. We're fortunate in town that we have the Hamel rink, and we're going to rebuild the Hamel rink because it's as old as you know. It's from 1971. And we are.
And Bill, if I could say 1 second, Bill is the money guy in town. He's one of
he sure is.
money guys. So if he's saying he's going to come through with the money for that, it's going to come through. We know that for sure.
It is going to come through. And the Hamel rink, I'm a hockey guy. I've been skating on it as long as it's existed over there, and as our Greenwich High hockey teams have. And we are going to eventually tear down and rebuild a beautiful new Hamel on the site, and it's going to cost $18 million, and it's going to be a great place for the high school is customer number one, tenant number one, obviously, and other Greenwich users in youth hockey and girls, and there's lots of demand. But the architects who are working on Cardinal Stadium had the smart idea to draw on those tennis courts there, put a temporary ice rink here. Now, if you think about it, in the summer, we're playing tennis on those courts. That's a wonderful thing. But in the winter, those courts are doing nothing. Could we make a rink, a temporary rink on the site of 4 of those tennis courts right there, and provide a wonderful opportunity for our high school kids, just like we have a superb swimming team because we have a pool on the campus, among other things. It would be a big step forward for our hockey program to have on-site, to be one of the few, I think there's only 2 high schools in the state that have a rink on their campus where their kids could practice. We'd still keep the games and the spectators at Hamel, and so this would be kind of a skinny facility, call it. But it'd be a full-size rink. And surprise of all things, we learned from the architects that although it's going to cost $18 million to build an all-new Hamel, full 12-month-a-year rink with all the locker rooms and showers and et cetera, you can build a temporary rink on the campus of Greenwich High for $2 million. So $2 million in the scheme of I should never say this, but I'm going to say it. The scheme of our town budgets, that's a reasonable number.
So Bill wanted to come on the show, the Good News Show, because we decided at today's Cardinal Stadium a staff meeting that a skating rink that Bill is going to advocate for and support and work around the town and see what kind of attention he get is good news. So Bill, thanks for putting that good news suggestion out on the program.
Let me ask Rob. What do you
Yes, sir.
what do you think of that idea? And
I think it's.
if the town put in much or most of the money, do you think there'd be support from people who are athletically minded in town?
I think by the time this Zoom is over, we had the money raised. There's so much need and desire. Look at town. There's kids that drive 60 miles for practice.
Yeah.
So it's a huge opportunity. We actually looked into this. I don't want to bring up old bones here, but it is an opportunity I think is easily doable. And I think that price tag seems reasonable to me, and there's a huge demand for it. So I think it checks a lot of boxes.
Bill is going to be our guy. He's going to try to market that thing to our town, and we're going to try to inject it into our plans going forward. So thank you, Bill. For
I'd like to work on it. I think it's a great opportunity for the kids, and I'm glad to hear you, Rob, say there's support. That's great.
Again, I think that this town is sports crazy, and Joe can testify. I think if you build it, they will come. So again, we're advocating for more fields, more usage, because again, these kids they should have the opportunity to play, and that's all we're asking for.
But I'm gonna jump off that topic and go speak more to Rob about just sports in general, because you asked me a very interesting question once. I had a very fortunate run with the rugby program where in season play we had a record of 74-2. And that was over 9 years. And we got to go to a national championship in those 9 years 6 times. And you asked, how come we're good in rugby? Well, you know what it is? There's a couple of things, and it's important that whoever is coordinating the program, the single sport, understands that you got to look at the youth. You got to look at how the youth matures into all the different levels. You got to make sure it seamlessly goes into the high school, and you got to make sure as you have the kids in the high school, you have kids at different levels in the high school. Some kids are capable of playing statewide all-star teams and even national teams. You have to be able to identify that, have that path in place, so therefore our outstanding kids could find themselves in even competition to themselves, so then they can get better. So it's soup to nuts when they start playing the game, and when they finish playing the game, or they go on to college and play, or to the next level, whoever's coordinating the program, whether it's the head coach at the high school, has to be responsible for the entire beginning to the end of that kid. And also that coach or that coordinator who is responsible for that has to make sure that it's not necessarily the best thing for all kids to focus on one sport. To play many sports is sometimes better to give that kid a better understanding of the athleticism. And there has to be an honesty between the coaches of the two sports, where if the kid is a better basketball player than he is a hockey player, then we have to identify that that's the case. And hopefully that kid will go on to possibly choose that sport because the coaches are working together. So how that relates to you, Rob, is that all those things cost money. Fortunately for me, as we talked about before, I had a very fortunate career. So I was able to spend a lot of my own money when challenging things came in, where some athletic kids didn't have the proper shoes. We needed more uniforms for extra outside of high school stuff. I was able to make sure I dedicated that money to that. But what other programs don't have that same opportunity and privilege of the person coordinator program to make sure they have what to bring it from the youth to the high school, to the college, all the way through. And that's where all the components we talk about really come into play, where you need these fields, you need the facilities, but more importantly, you need the mentors and the coaches that could actually design the path where the kids start out as young kids playing the sport, and that mentor, the coordinator, communicates with the youth program, whether it's the south side of town, the north side, whatever side of town it is, makes no difference. But that person coordinates with them and makes sure we identify the better kids. So that's where a support from a philanthropic organization is really helpful when we decide who are the individuals that have the time to dedicate themselves to our town's programs, sport by sport, and then identify what they need. I went to a high school, and I'll tell a quick story. I went to a high school with 1,300 boys in Queens, Archbishop Malloy High School. We had one of the best basketball programs and baseball programs in the country. We didn't have a football field. We didn't have a football team. We had a track, and we were also one of the best track programs in the country. We had a fifth of a mile track. It wasn't conforming to any rules and regulations, but we had one of the best track teams in the country. It's the Jack Curran Warren, you might have heard that name in the field of sports. He coordinated the baseball and the basketball team for some 40 years. He was the head coach for those programs. He was the coordinator, the center, the grounding bit of that program at that high school. We need to have more people in our town. I know it's tough. As a head coach of a high school, you're only making about $7,500. You can't feed a family living in Greenwich, Connecticut off $7,500. So we need to support a person who's going to coordinate that program. That's where I think it would be most important for a foundation like yours, Rob, to inject their influence on a community. I'm sorry I've talked too much. What's your opinion on it?
No, I think that's right. And again, I'm also a member of the Greenwich Football, quarterback club, and you can see the success that programs have because, to your point, it's coordinated from youth leagues all the way up to the high school and beyond. So I think that's sort of a model that we can use in this town as well. And again, there are programs, and again, my pitch tonight for everybody listening is, hey, if you're on I don't care what team you're on, if you need something, just reach out to us. We're here to help. I don't care how big or small your program is, but we want to be supportive of you and make sure all your kids have an opportunity to play. So just give me a call, reach out to one of our members. We got 3,000 people in town that believe in this so far. Hopefully that will grow. And we want to help. We've spent over $500,000 on town programs so far. That number is going to go up in the future. So we're here to help. We want to be, again, I don't care how big or small your program is. We want to be that sounding board. We want to be the help to get you guys to the next level.
God bless you guys. You guys are doing a great job. It's just the absolute best cause in the world for young people, as you know.
Absolutely. Structure's key.
Thanks for giving me a minute to talk with you both today. This has been great, and what you're doing is superb. We'll all help you.
Oh, always a pleasure, Bill. A positive guy like yourself is always welcome on the Good News Game Plan show. So
Thanks,
thank you for that. But Rob, as we've talked about for a long time about involvement in various things, we sometimes will hit, sometimes we will miss. I never want to stop trying. I keep in touch with Randy, who I really enjoy talking to. He's a wonderful guy. Rich, we talked to him. I had a nice conversation with him the other day. There's a lot of people in your program that I would like to, or in your organization, your foundation, that I'd like to continue to have some hits on. As I said, there will be some misses due to whatever reasons, but we can't, just like in sports, if sometimes we'll miss on coordinating something, we can't, I don't think we should say that's it. We should keep trying, get up. It's not about falling down. It's how you get up. So I'm very happy about continuing to communicate with you guys, whether it's you as president of the JAF or if it's anyone else you want me to speak to, I'm happy to do that. But if we can coordinate something that helps our sporting programs, that's really close to my heart. And that's what I agree with.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. This Cardinal Stadium is much needed, but as you know, there's a lot of other things in this town that need some help. So you're right. Maybe not this one, but the next one we're around. We're not going anywhere. And again, there's a lot to do. Fields, facilities, you name it, programs. There's a lot to do in this town. So we're not going anywhere, and feel free to reach out anytime.
Now, is there something other than the, in addition to the GAF that you want to talk about, or is the GAF the focus of the evening, and you want to just mention that before we conclude here?
No, again, that's what I came on to talk about, the philanthropy and giving back to the schools. Again, that's probably the most important thing I'm doing outside of raising my 4 kids right now. So love to talk about that. Love to talk about Greenwich High School. It's my alma mater. My daughter's graduating from there. I want to see it succeed. I want to be the best in the town, best in the state in terms of schools. So I have nothing but support for Greenwich High School, and I want to see it to be as successful as possible.
Ralph, what do you think about that?
I love Rob Burton. He's a classy gentleman. I would work with Rob Burton on anything. He's the best.
He's been an absolute pleasure to work with. It was the calls we would have. It was just so comfortable and easy. We agreed on a lot of stuff. We disagreed on some things, but he listened to my point of view. I hope that I listened to your point of view, to your satisfaction. And we either agreed or we agreed to disagree. And that's the discourse that we need going forward, that our country, our community, our society certainly needs more of. And I know, Ralph, I've sat in lots of meetings with you, and I know that you sat there disagreeing with some things, but you yielded the floor to the person who had a different opinion than yours, and then you injected yours in the typical Ralph Mayo, classy, powerful, intellectual manner. So I enjoyed working with you on that as well.
Well, I've heard Rob introducing himself, and I love the fact he has 3 girls, because I do too. So you're going through that.
It's a lot of fun. Trust me.
It's great, Rob. It's just
We all have three girls. Wonderful.
And I'm the only
So
one that
do I.
has all three married. So you guys got to catch up.
Exactly. And Tim, are you going to wrap us up with something of incredible fortitude, something really clever to end us up with?
Well, I loved Rob's saying when he said, build it and they will come. The only twist I would make to that is if we build it, they'll stay, because the parents are very passionate for their children in this town, and they'll go anywhere for them. So they've been jumping out of this town to go get it done at Chelsea Piers or wherever else they have to go. And I know that if whatever we do here is only going to mean they're going to stay closer to home and be better for everybody. And plus, I can walk to Dorothy Hamill, so I'm very excited about that one.
That's great. Rob, Ralph, thank you very much for joining me this evening, joining myself and Tim, of course. It was a pleasure to talk to you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again outside when we're all allowed to go outside and interact and mingle again.
Thanks, Coach.
Been a pleasure. Thanks, Joe.
All right, guys, we'll see you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Rob. Tim.
Good night, guys.
Everybody. See
Thanks,
you.
folks.